After a bit of a break, we're back with a brand new episode of the Cookn Matrix podcast. I am once again your host, Sam Cook.
And I am the other host, known as Joe Matrix.
Resolve.
And
today, we are reviewing possibly our most obscure subject yet.
The Tick, the blue man himself.
Yes, or as the poster says, the big blue bug of justice.
Imagine if Kronk put on a blue suit and just went out and said, I'm going to fight crime one day.
Yep. This is a 2001 live-action comedy based on the comic book character created by Ben Edlund. And as Peyton made a mention to, it stars Patrick Warburton, the voice of Kronk, as the Tick.
Now, just keep in mind that this is not the only iteration of the Tick, but for today we're only going to be reviewing the 2001 version of the Tick.
Yes. Why? Because it was the shortest.
Yep, and it was only 9 episodes and then it got canceled.
Yep, and we'll get into the reasons why in a second. Before talking about the show itself, let's go into a bit of the history. Now, keep in mind, all the history I think both of us are going to mention come from Wikipedia, so if any of this is wrong, feel free to correct us down in the comments below.
I have my page of Wikipedia pulled up right now to make sure that my stuff is as accurate as Wikipedia is.
This was not actually the first Tick show. The first Tick show was the animated series, which ran from 1994 to 1996, and it lasted for 3 seasons.
I think it had 72 episodes, if I'm right. Maybe 73.
Somewhere around there. Yeah, something like that. But to this day, it is the longest running Tick show, which I don't know what that says about it. But when making this show, Larry Charles, who was an executive producer on the show, talked about creating a camaraderie between the characters similar to that of Seinfeld. And that is, I think, definitely what the show was going for, more of a Seinfeld comedy type.
It even says in the Wikipedia that they went for a Seinfeld type approach to the show.
Yeah, that's actually where I just pulled that. And there's a big quote from it, which I'm not going to read here. But Ben Edlund, who was the creator of the Tick, was heavily involved in the show. He definitely worked on the pilot episode.
The Tick is pretty much similar to something Adam Sandler would make, or something he would be in. Just kind of that level of outrageousness.
Maybe not as dirty or filthy as this Adam Sandler movie.
Mm-hmm.
But
I don't know. There was one episode where she did kill a man by sleeping with him.
Was that the one where it was like Arthur's high school, like old high school flame or something?
I thought it was the one where Lady Liberty was doing a book signing with this one guy, and somehow she killed the man.
Yeah, that one. But that technically wasn't her fault. I think the dude had like a heart attack or something.
Hey, I must have read that episode wrong because I got the wrong idea.
Or maybe. It's been a while since I watched the show. I just finished the last episode 2 days ago. Yeah. But, yeah, generally the history of the show is that the creators wanted it to be not only the camaraderie similar to Seinfeld, but I think it's clear from watching the show itself they were going for more of a Seinfeld type. And I think this can lead into the story / our general thoughts on the show. It's very Seinfeld-esque. Each show or episode contains a contained story, and then the next episode disregards anything that happened in that episode previously.
Yeah, like there was an episode where Arthur was kind of against the Tick. There was an episode where the Tick didn't know who he was because either he's an idiot or he has amnesia. It was just kind of offshoot plots.
Yeah. And, I mean, I really like the show, and you can forgive us if we at certain points try to think of stuff to say. This is probably the simplest show we reviewed. This is like Nacho Libre levels of simple.
It may even be simpler than Nacho Libre, to be honest.
Because that one, had a plot.
Yeah, that one had a set plot we could follow along, and even though it was simple, we could understand. This one does it even have really a set plot? Would you say?
Yeah. Not really. I mean,
Essentially, four people know each other, go around and fight crime.
yeah. Although they're not even really fighting crime. Another way to, I guess you could describe the show is what happens between superheroes fighting crime. Like they're just day-to-day lives.
What's that one show on Amazon? Is it called Homelander?
The Boys?
Yeah, The Boys.
Yeah, what about it?
It's, I don't know why I'm thinking of it in my mind, comparing the two. Just like the background of what superheroes actually are, except this one's like a dumb version.
Yeah, and The Boys is like, what if we took it seriously and added depth?
From what I gather from the clips I've seen, it seems kind of dark.
Yes, definitely. And that is literally the exact opposite of The Tick. The reason I said it's between them crime fighting is because there's almost no action scenes at all in this show. Like, almost none at all.
Most of the action scenes are done by the Tick, and honestly, I think most of them are in the first episode.
Yeah, like there's him jumping across the building, there's him repeatedly headbutting a robot, and...
He fought the Russian dudes in the first episode?
Yeah. But that's not at all what the show is trying to focus on.
It honestly just focuses on its episode-to-episode plot.
Yeah. Which isn't a bad thing at all.
I mean, there was at least 2 episodes where Arthur, the plot was him trying to get a girl.
Yeah. I'm sure if the show would have gone on, there would have probably been a lot of Arthur tries to get a girlfriend episodes.
And then fails because the Tick is really stupid.
Yeah. And, I mean, I kind of appreciate that it doesn't really try to do anything more than just be a comedy. Because, one, I actually think it succeeds at being a comedy. I think the show is pretty funny, just because of how outrageous it is at points. But when this show came out, there weren't as many superhero movies as there are today. Like, this thing precedes Iron Man by about 6 years.
I never really thought of it that way, but yeah, you're right. There wasn't really much as far as superhero movies go. I guess there was a Batman or some of the DC animated series, but other than that...
There weren't a whole lot of live-action shows, for sure, that were doing a TV-style thing. At least at the time. I know The Incredible Hulk was around, and they did a Flash show, but it wasn't really mainstream. You kind of had to only be a comic book geek, I would think, to like the show.
I mean, was this show mainstream, though?
No. I mean, it was canceled after 8 episodes.
Yeah, the 9th episode never really aired.
Yeah, which Patrick Warburton blames Fox for the show's cancellation due to him thinking they didn't know what they were doing with it. Which, fair enough, I could see that.
I would be amazed if anyone knew what they were doing with the Tick.
Yeah, it's a very odd superhero, but... Like, even She-Hulk, which tries so hard to be funny, and from the few trailers and the few clips I've seen, it just fails. And it tries to just be an Easter egg show, which, granted, nothing wrong with that. If you like She-Hulk, more power to you. But it's just not for me. Yet this show, it works. It doesn't try to be full of Easter eggs every now and then. It just says, hey, we're here to have some dumb fun.
We know what we are, and we're gonna live it up to the fullest.
Yeah. It's also kind of self-aware, because the Tick is very stupid, like in his world knowledge. He's kind of a fish out of water. And in a lot of ways, the show is like, yeah, we acknowledge it, but we're okay with that.
That's just the way the Tick is. The Tick is the Tick.
Yeah. But even going beyond that, I think the Tick only works because of the characters.
Yeah, there's only a small range of characters, but let's start out with our big blue friend himself, the Tick.
Absolutely. The star of the show, and Patrick Warburton absolutely kills it. He's not my favorite Tick, but he's certainly really good.
I mean, I don't think there's another actor I can think of that can pull off the Tick. Because, I mean, the Tick's got to be this big, larger-than-life brute.
Yeah. Although each version of the Tick is like, I would say different from one another. Like, obviously, I haven't seen the cartoon, but I assume from the little I've seen, that one's just trying to go for a Saturday morning superhero. Kind of like, the old G.I. Joe shows.
Mm-hmm.
This one is just, I'm not a superhero, I'm just kind of an idiot.
And I'm going around fighting crime.
Yeah. But then the Amazon show, which is my personal favorite Tick show, tries to take it more into a serious direction, and the Tick still works in that environment.
Isn't that the newer one, the 2016 version?
Yeah, the one from Amazon. But those aren't the ones we're talking about. We're talking about this one, and I really like the Tick. He's a very fish out of water, if that makes sense.
Please, call him IP.
What?
That's a throwback to one of the episodes where they try to figure out the Tick's name, and for some reason a woman tries to fake being his wife.
Yeah, that one was a weird one.
Because honestly, what are you going to do to the Tick?
He has no money. He has nothing, essentially.
He has some strength. I mean, but what are you going to do? You're going to punch the Tick?
He's seemingly invincible.
Yeah, you're not going to do anything to the Tick. One does not simply attack the Tick.
Yeah. Probably one of my favorite aspects of the Tick is just his social mannerisms. Like, when Arthur is trying to get Tick to leave him alone so he can hang out with his, girlfriend alone, the Tick is like, "Buddy, I don't understand these ways. What does this have to do with fighting crime?"
I don't know, the Tick is just very strange. Like, he preaches an entire funeral for some reason, even though he didn't really have to.
Yeah, he just did it.
And then some army guy, he's just like, I like the cut of his jib.
Yeah. Honestly, the funeral episode is probably my favorite in the whole show.
Peaks at episode 2, goes down from heel for Sam.
Well, actually, I like the whole show, but episode 2 is my favorite.
I mean, it's just so weird that she kills a man, and then they go around trying to get the body away.
Not on purpose. She did not kill him on purpose.
Where's the episode 2 history? I wonder if it brings it up here.
Okay, while Peyton's doing that, I'll explain the episode we're talking about, even though we're supposed to be talking about the characters. The episode is called The Funeral, and what happens is the Immortal comes into town, and he's like the greatest superhero who ever lived. He's like their Superman. And him and Captain Liberty have a moment.
Enjoy themselves.
Yeah. And he dies during this, and they have to hide the body so no one will know that he's dead.
Yeah, that literally is all it said. He dies while enjoying himself with Captain Liberty.
Yeah. But I mean, God, there's so little to Tick, even though he's the main character. He's just like, I just want to fight justice, or I just want to fight evil, stop crime, and talk like the most epic voice, with the most epic voice ever.
He goes, I mean, let's be fair, that voice is pretty epic.
Yeah, I mean, why do you think they cast him?
Even though what he says is absolute stupidity.
Yep.
But it makes you laugh, and I enjoy the character. But
yeah.
What about our voice of reason, though?
Arthur?
Yes.
Or the Moth? Even though he's never really called the Moth here.
I mean, he looks like a moth.
Yeah. I think in the cartoon he is referred to as the Moth at some points.
I'd never heard him referred to as the Moth, except in episode 1 by himself, about himself.
Yeah. Arthur is a really good character, and he's not my favorite character. We'll get to my favorite character in a second, but Arthur is essentially, to put it in the simplest terms, what if a average person decided to go be a crime fighter?
And then you put on a moth suit and you fly around.
Yeah, but like Arthur is just an average guy. He gets scared at almost every crime fighting scenario he's put in. And he just lives in a normal apartment. He doesn't live in like some superhero secret lair, even though the Tick calls his apartment the secret lair.
I guess it's kind of a secret lair if no one knows where it's at.
I mean, yeah, but people break into it all the time in the show.
I mean, true. Somebody else lived at his apartment at one point.
Yeah.
What was his name? The fire...
Like the fire sidekick dude?
Yeah, Friendly Fire.
And that may have been his name. I'm not sure. That was probably my least favorite episode, honestly.
He essentially... Friendly Fire gets mad at the Blaze. Or Blaze, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then tries to get Arthur to not be part of the Tick because they have disagreements.
Yeah. Which, Arthur's not really the Tick's sidekick. They're kind of they are a duo, but they're like, sort of on equal playing field, while the Tick has the strength. He has no social skills or no sense of calmness whatsoever. Whereas Arthur has no strength, but he has everything that the Tick is lacking.
Tick, you should be an accountant with me.
No.
You'll enjoy it.
No. Although, I mean, God, we're trying to find stuff to say about the characters, but there's really not a whole lot to say. Tick is the weird guy, and Arthur is the straight man.
Arthur is the brains of the operation. Honestly, he is the most normal out of everyone there.
Yeah. In fact, arguably, the two side characters, I think, may have more to say about than Arthur or Tick. Even though I may not like them as much as those two.
I don't know, they are kind of funny.
Yeah. Like, Lady Liberty, who's essentially Wonder Woman, but she's like an American superhero, I guess.
She's interesting in the fact that she's addicted to men, I think.
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, she just has bad dating problems.
Oh. Yeah, I must be thinking more of Batman Well, but, he's addicted to women, but we'll get to him in a second.
I mean, Lady Liberty is like, the reason I said she's interesting is just because each episode, I feel like she's trying to go through something. Like in one episode, she's like in trouble because she posed for a magazine. And now like she's in trouble with the US government. And in one episode, she's like going to take the best superhero ever on a tour.
There was one where she tried to be normal and date a guy without the suits.
Yeah.
One where she tried to get a dog and it blew up a grenade.
Yeah. And the dog, I think, lived?
Yep, the Tick mentioned that it looked like a platypus. I don't know how you do that to a dog, but I guess grenades do things.
Yep. Who knows? I do like Lady Liberty, but I kind of thought I'd have something to say. But sticking with the Seinfeld comparisons we were making earlier, if the Tick is Kramer, Arthur is kind of Jerry Seinfeld,
Mm-hmm.
and Lady Liberty is Lane.
I can see the comparison.
Yeah. Their personalities aren't that kind of similar, but the camaraderie they have with each other is very similar to those roles.
But yeah, there's not really much to say. as far as her character goes.
Yeah.
There's
The
no.
characters are honestly, they're really interesting. They make the show better, but them and themselves aren't that interesting. It's the plots around them that make the characters interesting. I guess that's technically a bad thing, but I think it works for the show in this case.
I mean, whenever we do comedy episodes, we generally don't have much to say about the characters, so it's not really surprising. Comedy episodes are just purely meant on, hey, can we make them laugh? It's not really meant on, hey, what's your background? Your mother die or parents die? You know, are you Batman?
In some cases it is, but definitely not for the Tick.
Yeah, we don't even know who the Tick's family is or who he is.
Which is actually a kind of a plot point in the Amazon show.
Really?
Yeah, but that's a story for another day. We keep getting sidetracked just because there isn't a lot to say about these characters. So we're going to move on to the final character, and maybe my favorite, Batmanuel.
Batmanuel is addicted to women.
I mean, he's just a playboy, so...
I mean, he's addicted to fame.
Yeah. Imagine if Batman was just Bruce Wayne all the time. But he had no money.
Imagine if Batman was Puss in Boots from Shrek.
I don't know about that one. But, I mean, Batmanuel is just a playboy, and he probably gets into some of the funniest hijinks in the show. Like the episode where, I'm trying to think. He has to dress up as the popular superhero, even though no one knows who he is.
Yeah, no one knows who he is, and thus he's able to pull it off.
Yeah. And there's the one episode where he almost gets killed by the Terror. And man, I thought I'd have much more to say. But I mean, probably one of the more entertaining aspects of Batmanuel is that he tries to hit on Lady Liberty almost every episode and it fails.
He tries to, I don't know, be famous, be this one guy that I guess you can look up to as far as superheroes go, and he's kind of full of himself, and that kind of makes him more appealing for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But I mean, go ahead.
But, I just want to point this out. He's not that good of a superhero, though.
No, he's not.
Like, he has no powers. He doesn't really, as far as I can tell, he doesn't really do it to get, like, help people or not. It seems to be a fame show for him. I could be wrong, but that's what I got. But I mean, that works in a comedy scenario.
I mean, it honestly is a nice fitting point. He's just there for the heck of it, instead of actual fighting crime.
Yeah, like, if this was a serious superhero show, like it had darker storylines, I feel like Batmanuel would be a villain in it, honestly.
Just because that's how he's set up?
Yeah. But I mean, it works for the plot of this show.
For the sake of this show, yes.
And,
Is there anything else to say about him?
Not really. I mean, again, I want to make it clear. We do like the characters in this show. But I just don't know if there's a whole lot to say to them. And it probably doesn't help that, again, the show only lasted 8 episodes.
9 if you take the one that didn't air.
Yes. There was a 9th episode that did not air, and I suppose that probably may have been planned to be, you know, the season 1 finale. Because they had only produced 9 episodes. But, I mean, even when you add the 9th episode, it still doesn't really expand on the characters, so there's not a whole lot to say to them aside from their basic traits. The Tick's a big dumb guy who just wants to fight crime Arthur's the straight man. And as for Lady Liberty and Batman, well,
Lady Liberty is probably the closest one to an actual hero.
yeah, sort of close. Because she actually does try to help in a lot of scenarios.
And she probably has the most sense as far as being able to and being similar to Arthur.
Yeah. And then there's Batman who is probably one of my favorite characters, but there's probably the least to him compared to everyone else, even though I thought I was going to have more to say about him.
I am Batman.
Yeah, that's how he introduces himself in every scene. Arguably, everyone gets more to expand on themselves in the pilot episode compared to the rest of the show. Just because probably the pilot episode has the most happen. And it's clear that the pilot was produced before every other episode just due to a couple of key differences.
Well, every other episode was directed by someone else.
Yeah. But I mean, the first episode, each character had a slight variation on their costume, except for maybe Arthur and the Tick. Like Lady Liberty and Batman their costumes, I think, had a bit of a change when it came to the rest of the show. And the Tick actually engaged in some superheroing fight scenes.
He headbutted a robot and he tried to stop an elevator with his head.
Yeah, and he was jumping across rooftops like pretty easily. But
I think that's pretty well sizes up all the characters.
Yeah, and there are other characters, but they only appear in one episode.
Should we even include them in honorable mentions?
Honestly, no. The only cool thing is like, hey, I think that dude's famous. Or, hey, I think that guy's famous. You know, it's like, they've got some pretty notable, I think, comedy actors who guest star in a couple of episodes.
We'll say the Immortal is our one
honorable
mentions. I don't know why I forgot the word honorable mention there.
But, I mean, the Immortal probably doesn't appear for more than 5 minutes.
His body gets more screen time than he does.
Yeah, and that might not even have been his body. That could have just been a prop.
I mean, there was that part where he was dead and talking to Arthur, just being like, hey, yeah, go ask that girl out. You live only once.
Yeah.
Call that the closest we get to character development in the show.
Probably.
A dead body tells a guy to ask a girl out.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think we were the only ones that liked the show, even though it was simple. It has an 89 on Rotten Tomatoes, and a lot of people seem to generally like it.
An 89?
It's just... Yeah. It's just... According to Wikipedia, the show was up against some stiff competition when it was on the air. For example, it was up against shows like Survivor Africa and other NBC TV shows when it aired. So it just really didn't stand a chance.
It had a lot of competition, one isn't able to really keep up with it.
Yeah, it also didn't help that the show was on Fox, and Fox, as far as I'm aware, does not own the show, according to Wikipedia.
Who does?
Maybe Ben Edlund, the creator of the Tick?
The Wikipedia, I'm trying to figure out who owns it. It's hard to... I guess originally Fox owned it, and we'll just say that at that time Fox did.
But probably, if I had to guess, I'd say Ben Edlund, who again is the creator of the Tick. He probably owns the show, or owns the rights to it, I guess.
So for now, we'll just say that he did own the show.
Yeah. But Fox, since they were more interested in promoting shows that they made, rather than shows that an outside company made. So I don't think the Tick got a lot of advertising.
In the episode list, it says Ben Edlund only wrote 2 of the episodes.
Yeah. But then again, he created the character the Tick, like, at all.
Yeah, so I'd say that he gets the big say in everything.
Yeah. In the end, I mean, we like this show, but there's just not a whole lot to it.
What would you say you give it as far as a number rating goes?
Probably a 7. It's good, but it's just not great.
I'd give it a 6.5. Maybe a 6.
Yeah. Although, this would not be the final time the Tick would appear. In 2015, I think is when you said, Peyton?
2016, I think.
Oh yeah, it might have been then. Amazon would take the Tick and turn it into a 2-season streaming show, and where it would then be canceled after season 2. And that's sad. And that is my favorite version of the Tick. I love the Amazon show. It's a 9.
The show, the Tick in general just seems to have a history of just being canceled for whatever reason.
Yeah, the cartoon only lasted 3 seasons. This lasted 9 episodes, and the Amazon show lasted 2 seasons.
I mean, it's kind of fascinating though. I mean, it's something outside of DC and Marvel. It's not really mainstream, and it's pretty consistent with its history.
Yeah.
If done correctly, I think that this could make it big in today's world. Just superhero movies.
Yeah.
Especially since, from what I gather of Marvel fans, they're agreeing that the stuff there is getting kind of bland.
The last great Marvel movie I saw was Spider-Man No Way Home. And that's more a Sony movie than a Spider-Man movie.
It was the last Marvel movie I could say that I watched the last. It was great.
Yeah.
But I just think the Tick could do really well if it was released now.
Yeah. And again, I would like to see another Tick show. I think it has a chance. It just has to be marketed well and not get canceled after like a season because the studio wanted to do something different.
As it always does.
Yep. But with that, that is our review of the Tick. Now, before we go, we have a bit of an update to talk about with the podcast itself.
We're having difficulty, would you say?
Yeah. Me and Peyton have gotten a lot busier since June, and producing an episode every single month has become rather difficult. So,
just our lives have been just thrown into a loop a bit.
Yeah.
So for the time being, it's going to be really hard. Maybe for, say, the remainder of the year, would you say?
Yeah. For the time being, until we say otherwise, we're going to go to doing an episode every other month.
We've just got a lot on our plates. We're really tired. We're trying our best to make sure the podcast keeps going, because we do really enjoy making these episodes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're only human.
And as for stuff that we haven't announced, like our secret project that we've hinted at but we haven't said what it actually is, that is still happening, but it's going to take longer than we anticipated to get it finished.
I just hope that we can get it done as soon as possible.
Yep. Really, that's all we have to say about it. We are trying to get new episodes done. They're just going to take longer to come out. But hopefully that means they'll be even better when they do come out, because hopefully this will give us more time to put more preparation into the podcast itself.
And hopefully it'll give us time to improve it. Like one of the classes that I have at school is actually, one of the projects is podcast editing and just creation. So hopefully I can improve upon my skill set as far as being able to help out in the podcast here.
But that's really all we have to say about it. Episodes are now going to be every other month, but hopefully they'll be much better. And with that, I think that about wraps it up for this episode.
Thank you all for watching so much. hit the like and subscribe button.
We'll see you all next time for our next podcast. But until then, later, everyone.
We will see you.